Hello, this is MattiAce, and I want to make a bit of a follow-up video on a video that I released just a few days ago. It had to do with balance and some of the most discussed topics in Planetside 2, at least to my knowledge, and especially when it comes to the balance discussions that I have been part of. It has to do with ESFs, tanks, and maxes. I will mostly be focusing on the difference between, or the balance between ESFs and tanks, which is a very discussed topic. But one of the things that at least my videos haven't really highlighted enough is the difference how this plays into the different factions. As you can see here, I'm trying to use my rocket pods to take out a vanguard. And shooting from high up like this works pretty well against prowlers. It's harder against mag riders, but it is even harder, or much harder, against vanguards. And this is not one of those situations where I think it's worth the risk to fly really low and shoot them from behind. So I've made a few videos where I've used an AP Prowler with a fully upgraded anchor mode, and I've taken out aircrafts with it. And these videos have been used in the balance discussions, and according to some people, they are a big reason why the anchor mode is now getting nerfed. I honestly don't think that my videos have that much of an impact in the actual balance decisions, but the feedback from you guys though, I think that is very valuable. Actually, I think it's invaluable, and I really do hope that SWE pays attention to you guys. So I really don't want to go for ground targets when there are enemy ESFs nearby. I have a real problem seeing my tracers here, and that makes it really hard to lead on this Reaver. One of the problems is that it's too bright daytime, and during daytime I prefer to have my brightness to 0. Actually, I would have it lower if it was possible, even on Indar, but nighttime I put it up to like 60 something. The brightness problems are even worse on Esamir and Emmerich, by the way. So now when it comes to the three main battle tanks of the three different empires, I do not hesitate for 1 second when I say that as long as you are uncontested, as long as you are not being shot at, the Prowler is without a doubt the best tank in terms of firepower due to the increased velocity and fire rate of anchor mode. But in many situations I think it's too risky to deploy, and I don't use it. However, and I will make a few videos of this, the Prowler is by far the easiest tank to take out from the air. And fact of the matter is, as a site pilot where I also fly on Cobalt, I get killed a lot more by vanguards than I get killed by prowlers. So we'll get back to the ESF versus tank balance shortly. But one of the things that SWE has announced is that they are going to nerf the AV weapons of the maxes against infantry players. So just a few days ago I got the fractures on both my arms for my TR Max. They are the closest to what I've used quite a lot, the Comets of the Vanu, and a lot of people have said that they are just as good or better, and some people say that the Comets are still better than the fractures, and that is mostly due to the Zoe mode. I would have hoped that I had more experience with the fractures before I made this video, but since it's already been announced that they are going to get nerfed, I guess it doesn't matter. So the fractures do have higher bullet velocity than the Comets, but they also have a little bit of bullet drop. I'm not sure about the direct damage, and nor am I sure about the splash damage, but it seems to me that I have a lot more success shooting infantry players with the Comets. I have used them on similar distances and situations like this, but I don't have any videos where I can clearly say that I'm shooting at the same range and the same angles as I'm doing right here. Now at close range, like in a biolab for example, I get the feeling that just in terms of the weapons themselves, the fractures and the Comets are very close, at least at any distances that is at 100 meters or less. I do get the feeling that having the bigger magazine actually does benefit the fractures a bit, but the reload time of the Comets are quite quick as well. I'm not sure actually the overall damage output over time between these two weapons, and to you NC players, I'm really sorry that I can't compare with the NC Max. I have never used the AV weapons for my NC Max, and as a matter of fact I've used my NC Max very little. Yeah, this guy yeah, I took it out. He's dead.
Badass.
Yeah, should have seen me. Now the way I've been using the Zoe Max with the dual Comets has mostly been for pure anti-infantry purpose, even though they are anti-vehicle weapons, and a lot of people have reacted on this, and to be perfectly honest, I do understand the nerf of anti-vehicle weapons against infantry, but I really do think that a lot of people overestimate the effect this will have on the game, because the only reason why I got these weapons in the first place is because on the right arm that is the default weapon, and for the left arm that is an 250 cert upgrade. And why I can't kill this light assault, I have no idea. Maybe I'm overleading and I underestimate the bullet velocity here, or maybe it's the drop, I don't know, something. But the main reason to why I haven't used the fractures that much is because the first weapons that I did get for my Terran Max was the MR-C3 Mercy. And keep in mind, the fractures will cost you 2000 certs to have one on each arm. So, the rocket pods. The most overpowered weapon in the game, on the fastest vehicle in the game, that can kill anything in the game. And because of this, one single pilot can easily just dominate an entire battle in Planetside 2. Fact of the matter is, the easiest things to kill for an experienced DSF pilot is to kill other aircrafts if you have the upper hand against them. Especially other ESFs that are trying to go for ground targets. Unless you are surrounded by friendly ESFs or friendly flak, you are going to be more or less chanceless against an experienced pilot that gets a jump on you in this situation. And that is actually true even if you, as the air-to-ground pilot, is the more experienced pilot. Oh, hello Ills, how do you like it when I get a jump on you? So this little dogfight started with a quite unfair jump from my part, but since we are fighting over a Vannu base, I really want to kill him fast, because this is a very risky situation for me. So I get a few good shots on him and I'm thinking, yeah, your ass is grass. Yeah, well, at least I got my RAM bonus. Very, very frustrating, and that's the thing. If you're a tanker, remember all the times when you've bumped into another vehicle, hit a tree or backed up into a rock. As much as this can be very frustrating and you might take another few shots from your enemies, you do anything similar to that in an ESF, that is instant death. Well, mostly anyway. So the anti-vehicle turret of the engineer class, a very debated weapon. I'm being attacked by them here, and one of the problems here is of course the render distance. They can clearly see me, but I'm not so sure I can see them. Take out an anti-air turret first, and I can see where the shots are coming from, so I can kind of get an indication of where the turret is at. I try to actually take it out just by chance, and I see I get a little bit of splash damage there. I shoot a few more shots and I get him. After that I take out the stationary AV turret, as they can be very dangerous to tanks if they catch you off guard. So one of the things that I have tried to figure out is how is the balance between the anti-vehicle turrets against tanks versus the anti-air weapons against aircrafts. Now the thing about the anti-vehicle weapons is that if they catch you off guard, you are definitely in trouble. And it's about positioning, and one of the problems that a lot of people have pointed out is the render distance. They can shoot you, but you can't shoot back. And I really do understand this problem, but I have to say a lot of this has been fixed and it's not as big of a problem anymore. And this problem was much bigger in my opinion when Maxes didn't render more than infantry players, when they were really strong as anti-air. However, and this is my big point here, if you have a semi-experienced player using a Skyguard or a Burster Max, you do not want to take that fight head on with an ESF. Not in anything that resembles a 1 versus 1 or fair fight, or when you two see each other at the same time. That is a fight that anti-air will win any day and any week. However, if you do the same comparison with tanks versus their nemesises, the anti-vehicle turrets, the tanks will win. Now of course in the game, on the live server, there's always going to be a lot of other factors playing in, so it's really hard to compare this way. But if I can see either the AV turret, the stationary or the engineer, and if I'm in a tank, I take that fight and I kill them, unless something else interferes. But I do not take that same fight if I'm in an ESF against a Burster Max or a Skyguard, not unless I have a clear advantage. So I killed a few of these guys, but eventually they got me. Should I have been able to take all these infantry guys out by myself in a tank? Maybe, maybe not. If you are a very experienced tanker, you would have probably done better than I did, and keep in mind, I did have AP rounds on my tank, not anti-infantry.
Bib, noch Berit. Coming behind you, Matti.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
I need help.
But the lip is yours.
No!
Oh, fuck shit, Ferryman.
Don't worry about it. So crashing into friendlies or enemies is very dangerous. Most likely will cost you your life, and it happens even with very experienced pilots. The best thing you can do if you are close to a friendly aircraft is to slow down. If you hit each other at slow speed, you are only gonna take minimal damage. Oh, lolpotting Reaver, huh? Not when I'm flying as air-to-air. The thing is that most experienced pilots have realized that it's much more rewarding to go for enemy aircrafts, and it's far less risky than to go for ground targets. And the pilots that do focus on air-to-ground, they mostly stick with a friendly Zerg, because if there's anything that favors an ESF, it is to get a jump on another ESF. So over and over and over I've heard that the only time you get killed by tanks or by ground targets is if you make a mistake, if you're a stupid pilot, if you do something you shouldn't do, and it's always your own fault. Being greedy, flying risky, hovering in front of an enemy tank. In this case I'm starting off at full speed, slowing down to 140 when I get hit by that tank during a left turn. Battle rank 23 with the default heat cannon of the Vanguard. So now that I know there are some Vanguards here, and I don't really need to fear the pilots that are online at the moment. It is late, the servers are not very populated, so I decided to spawn my Mosquito with the Hellfire rocket pods. They are fully upgraded on ammo capacity and reload speed. Now all the footage from this video is from the same day, and at this point I had decided that I wanted to do this video, and I was trying to actually get a few kills from behind on some tanks, because that has been discussed a lot on the forum lately, and I thought this was gonna be it, but the lags, the gods of Arexium, had other plans. So now the way I attacked this tank was that I first shot it in order to bring out the shield, and then I wanted to wait for the shield to expire before I shot it from behind. And it might have worked out if it wasn't for the server lags. Once I started taking anti-air, I decided to leave the tank and go for this Reaver instead. It is of course a much faster kill. Now, the thing of it is, if you are all by yourself in a tank, you are going to be very exposed against ESFs. But in a situation like this, where there's anti-air, other ESFs and lock-ons, I have to be very, very careful. And if I can't kill a tank really fast, I have to disengage. Here's another attempt. I take both flak and damage from a Reaver, and I cannot go against this tank. So I turn around and I go for the ESF. Let's see, is he dangerous? Is he good? Well, he's definitely dangerous if I am trying to shoot a tank and he can shoot me from behind. A lot of people, they do strafe maneuvers when they are attacking ground. It works a little bit different from when you are dueling air to air, but it kind of follows the same principles. Now the thing of it is that you're not going to be as effective in terms of pure damage, so this technique is mostly effective with Reavers. The Reaver has stronger vertical thrust and stronger afterburners. At the same time, you never have to worry about killing Vanguards, and the other two main battle tanks are much easier targets. Again, same thing, I want to take out more Vanguards, and I really want to make sure that I can kill a few of them with my rocket pods. So I didn't really resupply fully, and I only have 65 rockets except for that first magazine. Sometimes I do deal some damage from range, only to bring out the shield, and also so that I can quickly resupply before the shield comes back. Here I see that there's another ESF shooting at the same tank, so I decided to keep firing on it in order to concentrate the fire. Unfortunately, the third ESF was taken out quickly, and he didn't fire on the same tank either. So I started to take flak, and I'm running low on rocket pods. I realized that, nah, I'm not gonna get this tank. So now, had it not been for the purpose of making this video, I would have never attempted to go against these tanks. I know it's impossible. I can only, in rare occasions, get a kill on these things if they make a clear mistake, or if I get help. I also know that there is no way I can dogfight this ESF over NC flak. Luckily, he just turns back to his warp gate. Otherwise, that might have happened to me. Now, one of the big points that I think is missing when there is these discussions about ESFs, air being overpowered or some such, is that ESFs and Liberators, they can completely dominate any empty areas on any continent where nothing you do matters whatsoever. But Planetside 2, the metagame of Planetside 2, is about pushing territory, and you do that by capturing bases. And in these fights, the things that actually matters in the game, in these fights the ESFs and Liberators have become more or less useless. Here, the tanks and maxes rule, and despite my lack of experience with either of them, I can still do fairly well. Oh, would you stop moving when I'm aiming, please? I'm trying to make a YouTube video here.
Oh, there's a Reaver smoking, we could try and get that.
Noxic is on them. I can always say you can pick apart Zergs with the shredder, but I don't see it in a situation like this.
You need the, like, a good approach angle. I think it's because with the shredder you can, like, dive sort of.
So now with the upcoming nerf to the Prowler's ability, Anchor Mode, it seems to me that there's a lot of players who are against this, and from what I've seen it seems like most people would agree that what needs to happen is that the Mag Rider should get a buff, and if anything should happen to Anchor Mode, then a similar nerf should happen to the Vanguard Shield. And in a few days time I'm gonna show you what it's like to kill Prowlers and Mag Riders rather than killing Vanguards. Well, hopefully anyway. So I moved to another area. This is a Mao tech plant, and during prime time, if there is a semi-big battle going on here, this is a no-fly zone, at least for any faction that is not controlling this base. But in low-pop areas the ESFs are much easier to use. As a matter of fact, I'm not even afraid of lock-ons when the server is this empty. Now the thing that people react on when they say that rocket pods are overpowered is stuff like this. Yeah, fairly simple. I'd say it's just as simple or easier to kill with I don't know how many weapons in this game, but for whatever reason getting 100-150 kills in an hour with a max is just more accepted, I guess. But I really wish that SWE would release the stats for overall score per minute, some such, with ESFs, and compare that with tanks and maxes. It probably looks like, yeah, ESFs are great if you only look at the top 15 ESF pilots on each server. But one of the things that I'm missing in the air game is the ESFs and Liberators actually taking part in the game and not only being forced to fly in semi-empty areas. Oh Matti, you should take out the Sunderer instead of farming it, that's so lame. Here's the thing, a single ESF do not kill a Sunderer. There are always exceptions to everything, but in general, I think my best chances to take out that Sunderer would have been if I hit it with the rocket pods and maybe a little bit of the rotary, and then just bailed out and C4'd it. But I was hoping that I could keep flying a little bit longer this time. Anyway, this is one of my longest videos in quite a while, and if you're still watching, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know what you think. That's all. Bye for now.